So today we're going to be doing some sound play. So we're going to listen, explore, and create with sound. And so we'd like to begin today with having you think about a musical artist that you enjoy listening to. What is a musical artist you enjoy listening to? And if you would like, you can go ahead and put your favorite musical artist in the chat. And then along with that favorite artist or thinking about that favorite artist, what might be some words you could use to describe um, their art, their music? I'm seeing a lot of different just words. Um, Uplifting. So again, many different types of artists, music styles, and um, it's interesting that a lot of the words that are popping in the chat are words that are used to describe how they make you feel, how the music makes you feel. Um, so again, there's this, we're going to jump into exploring sound, which is part of an art form that we have, music. So there is very much this connection to art and science when we talk about exploring sound. Just looking at all these words connected to emotion, uplifting, motivational, but we have rhythm, um, smooth, inspired, joyful, funny, or funky, funny and funky. Um, so thank you for taking a moment to think about that. Um, and I'm going to pass it over to Scott.
Yeah, good morning. I'm going through this list of names and now I want to make a big old playlist. Yeah. Um, so as we think about sound, um, every day, every moment of every day, we're really kind of bombarded with sounds. And to get us starting thinking about sound, I want to have us do some really focused listening to some of those sounds. So I'm going to invite you to just kind of get comfortable where you are. And it doesn't matter if you're in a room by yourself or with somebody else, but just get relaxed. You might even want to close your eyes and just focus on the things you're hearing. And I'm going to give you some things to listen carefully for. And as you hear them, as you identify these things coming into your ears, into your consciousness, if you want to type them in the chat, that's okay. We'll kind of keep looking at them. I'm not going to read them out loud because I want to kind of keep a little silent moment and not interrupt people's ability to just listen to what's happening around them. So, for example, we'll just start by maybe just take a big deep breath. And again, if you want to close your eyes, that's okay. Um, and listen carefully for a moment for sounds that are only coming from inside the room you're in. And if you want to type something in the chat, that would be great. Yeah, probably like I'm hearing the air conditioning going on and off, hearing myself breathing inside the room. There we go. Now we got a little waterfall happening in the chat. Super. So I think you got the idea. So now let's switch it up a little bit. If possible, can you kind of focus your listening farther out? And can you hear anything coming from outside the building you're in? All right, next, and there might be a little bit of overlap in some of these things. Can you hear anything that is made, any noises that are made by something that is strictly mechanical, some kind of machine? How about, are there any sounds that you can hear that are purely natural, not man-made at all? I'm kind of curious. I've seen chickens pop up a couple times. That makes me really wonder where you are. But that's great. How about one more? What are some sounds, if you can really kind of listen internally, what are some sounds that are being made by you yourself? Right. Yeah, and you can kind of keep typing those things in if you want. And it's amazing once you start focusing on different kind of sounds and sound elements, how much there really is coming at us all of the time. This is a really neat activity to do with kids, especially younger children, because it really calls attention to their world, their environment, what's really happening around them. Um, yeah, and it's really amazing trying to just sit silently. It's nearly impossible, isn't it? Just my breathing, even when I move, I'm getting to the age where my joints creak and pop a little bit. Typing on the keyboard is a kind of sound that we tend to tune out a lot of the time. Great. And there's all kinds of ways you can do this. You can listen for things above you or below you or to your right or to your left or far away or close by. Um, so lots of different things we can do with that. So like Elin said, today we're going to just explore a little bit with sound and the scientific phenomenon of sound. So let's do a little bit of playing. In some of our contact with you that went out earlier this week, we asked you to grab a few things, one of which was a metal hanger or maybe a spoon. And if you don't have these things, it's okay. Maybe just kind of grab something, and it's nice if it's metallic, grab something metallic nearby. If you have a hanger, that would be great. If it's a plastic hanger, that doesn't mean it won't work, but I think we're going to get best results out of a metal hanger. Um, So what we'll do, another thing we asked you to have was some string. So maybe about 3 feet of string. I'm going to cut mine about arm's length. So probably about 3 feet, I guess. And to start with, find the midpoint of your string. So maybe just bring the two ends together and find the middle. And on your hanger or whatever metallic object you're using, right up at the top, just kind of hang your hanger on that. And if you want to, you can tie a knot in that just so it doesn't slip off. And so now we have our first kind of listening device here. Now, uh, on the side of your head is your ears, and there's a little ear nub in there. I remember when I was a kid, you're like, la la la, I'm not listening to you. That your ear nub is the part that you push in to try to plug your ears. That actually has a scientific name. It's called a tragus. So if you put your finger on your tragus and push in, it kind of dulls the sound around you. So what we're going to do now is, and I hope maybe you can see this on the camera, but I'm going to hold the ends of my string on my fingers, and maybe you can do this with your thumbs, and I'm going to push those strings onto my ear nubs or my traguses, tragi, I don't know how that goes. And then I'm going to let the hanger kind of dangle, and I want it to knock up against something, and I want to see what I hear. Now, if you're in a room with somebody, maybe they could tap on it with a pen or a pencil or something. But see if you can hold the string and then let the hanger hit something. And you might even try this with various objects. You might try it with a spoon, see what kind of different sounds you get. Somebody already heard something. They put, that is so cool. You wouldn't think that metal hangers make that kind of noise, right? You might even try hitting it up against different things. Hit it up against something metal. Hit it up against something wooden. Yeah, people are saying it sounds like a gong, like bells chiming. I'm going to see if my spoon sounds any different. You might even try tie the string to different parts of the hanger. What if you put it on the bottom part or the side part? I'm going to tie my spoon on here. See what happens with that. Whoa, that was something quite different. I'll give you about another minute to kind of experiment with that a little bit. Try some different objects. Sounds like a bell. Sounds are awesome. Sounds like church bells, right? Who knew? Maybe we just hang these up in steeples now and just snack on them. I don't think that would work too well. Ooh, a hole punch even sounds like a gong. Nice. Hadn't thought of trying that. I wonder if we tried scissors. Wonder if they would sound like anything. Letter opener work good. Nice. Okay. Um, for fear of people in your offices thinking you're kind of going crazy, just going around smacking things all over the place, let's move on a little bit. I'm going to switch my camera here. Boop, and switch over to this area. So, yeah, feel free to really explore with lots of different materials, different things. And of course, what's happening, sound, of course, is vibration. And um, as we hit the hanger, the string or the vibrations of the hanger are, of course, traveling up the string then and being transmitted then into our ears through our tragus, through the soft tissues of our heads, and passing down the ear canal and so on. And finally, they are perceived by our brain. And then our brain makes sense of them and kind of identifies with other things. I like how people say it sounds like something, like it sounds like church bells or it sounds like chimes, because we're making that association with some previous experiences we've had. So let's think a little bit about describing some sounds. We asked you also to just have kind of some just different loose materials. I grabbed some things this morning. If you have a jar or a container, I had this little kind of cardboard cup I just grabbed off my desk. If you wanted to take some of your loose materials, and again, I grabbed some beads that I had and put them in your container and maybe shake it around a little bit. What kind of sounds do you get? Maybe see what happens if I roll it instead of shake it. Hmm, I'm losing my beads. And then maybe try some different materials. I know this is, uh, packaging season. I found these little packing peanuts. Um, what if we threw those in the jar and shook it around a little bit? Got some people using safety pins or little rocks. So beads certainly sound quite different than these little packing popcorns. I also happen to have some metal washers. Let's see what those sound like. And then as you're doing that, maybe be thinking of some words that you could use to describe those sounds. You might even explore a little bit with taking it out of the container and maybe just what do they sound like on your table or desktop? Is it a whooshing sound? Is it a rattling sound? These make a sound when they're rolling. If I just put them in my hands and kind of rub them together, that makes a certain kind of sound. And then you could even just experiment with making some sounds with things that are around you. Like maybe here's a piece of foil. You can make all kinds of different sounds just with the foil. Ooh, a carrot, that makes a certain kind of sound. I didn't mean to do that. And rub it together. I squish it and pull it apart and makes a different kind of sound. About a paper bag. I love that somebody said that rice inside of a Tupperware container sounds like a maraca. I'm a musician. I play percussion things, so maracas are some of my favorite things. I have all kinds of shakers at home of different kinds and sizes. But really, that's all a maraca is. The first maracas were just gourds that had seeds loose in them. And somebody shook it and said, that sounds cool. So they kept it around. Ooh, sugar packets. Nice. That's a cool idea. So let's go one little step further now. And earlier, Elin mentioned music, which of course is near and dear to most of our hearts. We started asking about a musician or musical artist that you like listening to. And music, really, a kind of simple definition of music is just organized sound. And so one way to organize sound is to maybe associate a, a symbol or maybe just an item with a certain kind of sound. So for example, maybe if I just had these washers here, I noticed that there's some different sizes. So maybe if I used this big washer to represent one kind of sound, and this smaller washer to represent another kind of sound, and this third size to represent even another kind of sound. So maybe my big washer will be to rattle the foil, and my medium-sized washer will be to shake my cup full of beads. And how about on my small washer, I'll just snap my fingers. So now I can make a kind of musical code here. And maybe like as we read left to right, I could read my code left to right. So I could do foil, beads, snap, snap, foil, beads, snap, snap. So what we're going to invite you to do is play around with that a little bit and see if you can come up with a code. And really anything can be a symbol. I went outside the office this morning and I found these beautiful leaves. I mean, this could be a symbol for a sound. And we're just going to make some patterns. So what if my pattern was, and then I turn these leaves over and notice the other side had this really great color. So what if my pattern was dark green, dark green, light green? And just to kind of keep it simple, this could be foil, beads, foil, beads. So my musical code would be like this. And now we've got music because that's just organized sound. So as we organize our sounds and repeat patterns, our brains love patterns. Children's brains love patterns and they love repeating patterns. They love singing songs and making song patterns. So why don't you play around with that maybe for another minute, and then we're going to show you a quick little video that CPE has put together. So let's see, Elin, why don't you go ahead and show that video?
Okay, let's see. Oh, there's our sound play.
Yep, there's our little buddy Liam.
Yeah, one of our coworkers' son. And oh, lots of different material to explore sound with that I saw in the chat. Okay, so again, like Scott mentioned, here's a video that's on the CPE website.
Breaking news, math is sweeping across California, providing fun opportunities for parents and kids to work together. All right, Mindy, let's make some sounds and patterns and count them as we go. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
What does it sound like when you hit the pan with a wooden spoon?
Soft. Funny. Let me try this one.
How does it sound different?
It's loud.
That was loud. I'll bet these sound tubes make fun sounds. Shake them and see what happens. Which one's your favorite?
I like the marbles.
Let's make some different sounds with the rice. Shake it fast. Slow. Loud. Soft.
This is fun.
Let's try a pattern. Every time I hit the pan once, you shake the sound tube twice. Here we go. I hear a symphony. Math isn't just numbers. It's sounds and rhythms.
All right, fantastic. And of course, patterns and sound is very mathematical. It's also very scientific. In just a minute, we're going to share some ways that this can tie into some of the frameworks. But let's talk for a moment about how are we going to document these kind of things, documenting our STEAM learning. So I invited you to play a little bit, and on the screen you're seeing a QR code for a Padlet. This is a separate Padlet. Paul shared that we're going to share a Padlet later on. This is really just kind of for us in the moment right now. But if you want to take a picture of or a video of your sound pattern and share that on this Padlet, could be a picture, could be a video. It'd be great if it had some sound with it. But take a moment and maybe create a pattern, associate some sounds with that pattern, and upload it onto the Padlet for us. I'll give you about 3 or 4 minutes to do that.
Scott, I'm looking in the chat and I'm seeing, yeah, that do you have the page for the Padlet up? Could you put the link in the chat?
I I don't, if I remember right, it's your Padlet, so you might need to jump to that.
Looks
Oh,
like
somebody
Grace
just,
shared it with us. Thanks,
yeah,
Grace.
Grace shared it.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you,
Grace.
Grace. All right, I'm looking at it. We've already got a couple of videos. We got a picture and a video already up there. Great. Ooh, colored paper clips. Nice.
Oh yeah, I love the picture of the keys. The Oh, and a video.
You might have your STEAM journal with you. I think you received those at the Summer Institute this summer. If you'd like to, think about ways you could document this activity in your journal. Maybe make a sketch or jot down your thoughts. And you could take a picture of that and share it in the Padlet as well.
Yeah, and also I'm seeing don't worry about recording the sound pattern. We want to see how if you just want to share your representation of your sound pattern in like either objects or even maybe something you drew in your journal. Like think of it as showing us your music notes for your um for your composition that you've just created. So it can just be a picture of even if you're uh, drawing some symbols in your or in a representing the pattern with drawings in your journal, you can share a picture of your journal page.
And of course, there's so many connections we can make with this. Making patterns with real objects and associating sounds with them. I mean, we're one little jump away from writing letters that are associated with sounds, and now we're reading and writing. You could make connections with, instead of making sounds, we could do movements, and our patterns could represent dance moves, and we could dance and sing at the same time.
Yeah, I know a lot about that. One of my hobbies is tap dancing. So a lot of movement created with different sounds that are made with our feet when we're doing different steps.
Nice.
Fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just a little skip away from musical notation. There's so many great patterns showing up here on the Padlet. This is great.
Yeah.
Maybe about one more minute. And as soon as we're reading and writing using symbols or objects, we're of course right in the same ballpark as some abstract symbols that denote a quantity. And now we're doing math.
Yeah, like in the video, again, a lot of opportunities to count the sounds, to count the beats, and then again represent those beats as a quantity, as a numeral or a number, and then write the numeral down.
Yeah. Ooh, somebody's got Scrabble cubes, Scrabble tiles nearby. Ooh, somebody made their pattern out of little hand emojis. That's awesome. That's impressive. Yeah, we've got Unifix cubes. Are those makeup bottles? We got makeup bottles going on. I think like uh, looks like nail polish. Fantastic. Wow, what a creative group. You guys are awesome. Yeah. So Eden, go ahead with some connections, other connections we can make.
Sure. So again, this is just an example of like Scott shared the pattern with the leaves. Again, great opportunity to go outside and create, picking up items from a walk to create a pattern. So now we're going to, again, we've done some exploration and investigation, and we're going to put as a learner ourselves, but now we're going to put on our educator hat and think about this through our teacher lens. So we just experienced an exploration of sound that really involved inquiry learning. So you were experiencing inquiry learning. You and you did some investigation with the hanger and the string and hearing the vibrations. You did some exploration with different materials, and you explored patterns and were asking questions and testing ideas. So let's think about the connections we can make to some of the learning foundations. So within the infant and toddler learning foundations definitely connects to this idea of cause and effect when we think about inquiry learning and just exploring our environment around us, or children exploring their environment around them. When we look at the P3 learning progressions in physical science, we can think about exploring light and sound waves. So we were exploring sound, but we can think about what that looks like, what that exploratory learning looks like as we move through from preschool through third grade. I'm seeing the words explore. Again, when we get to kindergarten through third, just thinking about those, the vibrating matter, planning and conducting investigations. So a little bit more of that progression. So that was science. We are definitely exploring a scientific phenomenon, but when we think about an inquiry learning definitely encompasses or embraces that STEAM approach to learning and those overarching habits of mind and problem solving skills. But if we think about specific content areas within math, so math, we can, children are engaged in counting and cardinality when they're exploring sound, counting the beats, maybe thinking about measurement and data. In the video, it talked about, loud and soft, which is definitely something that you can think about measuring. Or how long a beat is, how short. So you're quantifying the time, which is a unit of measure. Yeah, and definitely I'm seeing in the chat and recognizing patterns as well. So, and thinking about connecting to computational thinking and computer science, definitely with that patterning, getting into algorithms and programming. And then obviously, music itself is a form of art. And to make art, musicians follow patterns, musical notes, which are essentially codes. And I see a lot of other good connections being made in the chat as well. Yeah. So we're gonna go into some breakout rooms and give you the opportunity to, again, think about this a little further. You'll have time to connect with folks that are working with students that are you're working with students that are in a particular age span, and think about how might children in this age span use guided inquiry to explore phenomenon such as sound in their own environment. So again, it doesn't have to be sound in particular. It could be any scientific phenomenon. And then what activities could you use with educators to deepen their understanding of how children develop these ideas? Or maybe you want to just, you've been inspired by this exploration of sound and want to think about other ideas connected to sound that you could explore as well with students. And we have the breakout rooms designated on the left side. So infant and toddler are rooms 1 and 2, preschool through TK, rooms 3 and 4, K and first grades, room 6 and 7, and second and third grade, room 8. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I don't know about your room, but our breakout room, we shared a lot of great ideas, a lot of really, people had a lot of really interesting activities that they've done with sound already. And so thanks for sharing, everybody. And just want to share too that, and when we think about family engagement, I know actually this was mentioned in our in our breakout room, going on a sound walk and encouraging children to listen for the sounds that they hear outside, much like we did with Scott with the guided listening, the different types of sounds from nature, sounds from sounds that being made by something that is mechanical is a great great way to encourage families to explore sound together. Also, just, making their own musical instruments. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It could just be, like the video showed from CPE, just playing with some a wooden spoon and a pot and banging out a wonderful rhythm together. And getting a bowl full of rice and or a cup full of rice and shaking it. So a lot of different opportunities to explore sounds with families. And again, just want to share some of our facilitation strategies, just some of the things that we had to engage in. Again, having to use accessible materials. We did some active learning together. And then we always, want to give you time to document your own STEAM learning and then have time to reflect and share ideas for implementation. And then just sharing some other CPE resources that are available and encourage you to check those out. Again, we shared the family video that's on the CPE family website. And there's also some other activities like exploring sound patterns and then one on what makes that sound. That might be fun to do when you're on your nature walk. Especially, it's always fun to listen for different animal sounds. So as we wrap up our sound exploration together, I would like to or invite you to engage in this thinking routine. So I used to think maybe some ideas around sound that you had, or maybe it's around inquiry learning, but now I think. So what has maybe changed, or what are some new ideas that you might be thinking of now? So if you can take some time to reflect on that, if you want to jot some notes down in your journal, feel free to do that. And then if you would like to, go ahead and share your response use this prompt to share your response in the chat. Thank you for sharing. I see some reflections coming in. I love the one. I used to think teaching anything about music was super hard. Now I think it's totally doable and easily linked to multiple subjects. Yay!
Yay.
That's awesome.
It's all integrated, isn't it?
Yay!
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're gonna feel free to keep adding things into the chat if you would like. But we're gonna kind of throw back to Paul right now. So thanks everybody for playing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Elin, for guiding us in this inquiry through sound and exploration and all the wonderful connections that we can make through that. I'm going to pass it off to our colleagues at West Ed for the next portion of our morning. And so we'll do that now.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Hi, everybody. My name is Lexi Alexander. I am with West Ed. and the content development team. And today I'm going to share with you some new resources that are available on the temporary website that focus on observing and investigating. Now, you all did a lot of observing and investigating in your sound experiences today. A lot of observing with your sense of hearing, right? Really listening to those sounds, both inside, outside, noticing changes in sound with the different materials that you used, and then investigating ways to change those sounds if you use the spoon or the hanger or different materials. So these skills of observing and investigating are part of our inquiry skills that children, adults, scientists use to build meaning of our world. So they're very flexible skills in the sense that we can apply them to a variety of different content areas and contexts. This makes it really powerful for professional learning because educators can take these inquiry skills and apply them to the variety of investigations they might be engaging with in their learning settings. So if children are investigating sounds, they can use observation and investigation. If they're interested in how things roll or move, they can use observation and investigation. So they're very flexible and make it meaningful for lots of different educators in their different spaces. So today I'm going to share with you some of these resources. I will link you to the temporary website toward the end. We'll take a look at them together. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So I'll start with sharing a video with you all. And let's see, I'm going to share screen. And we'll take a look at this video together. And I want you to think about and focus on how are children observing different science concepts or phenomena? So what are children doing? And then also think about ways that educators are supporting children to both observe and describe. All right, so we'll watch the video. You might want to take some notes on what you notice, and then we'll share out in the chat afterwards.
Here's the bumpy one. Here's the bumpy one. Ooh, it's bumpy, huh? That one's smooth, huh? You roll it in your hands like this, it's smooth. Is this a bumpy ball? Roll it in your hands, it's smooth. And can you shake this one? Shake it. Shake it. Oh, nothing's in there, huh? No noise. Jingle Johnny, what's in here? Jingle. What is it? Shake it. What is it? Can you hear it?
This is cornstarch. This is how we're gonna make the goo.
Is that hot?
No, it's not hot.
Warm?
You wanna feel it? Wow. Feel it. Put out your hand. You can feel out the cornstarch first before we mix it together. How does it feel like? Mix it together in your... Now we're gonna mix.
It's squishy.
It's squishy? What do you think? Should we add more water? It feels a little crumbly. So I think, see, it's holding shape. I think you're right. I think we need to add a little bit more water. See, it's a solid, but when you put it on your hand, look what happens. It oozes out. It becomes a liquid.
So can you look under those leaves right there and tell me what's under there?
My God, it got big.
Wow. Look at that. That's ready.
It's so big.
Okay.
Look, just take a picture of Alia.
Twist it. Twist it.
Take a picture of her. Put it right there.
Twist it.
Oh, it's green.
Wow. Look at that.
That one's huge. Wow.
This one is huge. We're going to have to measure this zucchini. How many inches do you think this is?
I don't know.
10.
10? Oh, that's a great estimate.
Take a picture of it.
Okay. I'll put them together. You want to compare the sizes?
That one is small, so it's huge. That one is bigger.
I'm ready to measure. Okay, what are you going to measure? Look, you want to measure? Want to measure this one?
One.
You have a sponge? You could draw it. Draw it. What do you think it is?
Dirty entrance.
Tomatoes are red. What other colors do you see?
Look at the spider. So what else you guys notice about a spider? How does it look like? ¿Cómo
Like
se mira?
a tarantula.
Like a tarantula.
Stop being fun. Teacher,
Yes.
guess what?
Tell me.
Do we have another camera broken?
No, this one works. We could turn it on. We could see closer things.
Yeah, can we?
Here you go. Now, like for example, we could look at this one right here. And then we could zoom in, focus, turn it to the right, and look at that. What do you see right there? What do you see?
Crazy.
It looks amazing. Now let's count the legs. Let's see, ready? Oh, wait, he's let him move up. Okay, you have one. Come with me. 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, and on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 legs and 4 legs.
Yeah?
That's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs. Does this one have 8 legs?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It does.
Can you guys touch the pumpkin and tell me how it feels on the outside? Hard?
We can see that it's orange. What else do you notice on the pumpkin? It has some bumpy parts, like those don't look orange, do they? What color are they? Some gray bumpy parts? You think it's skinny? And the stem is green. Okay. What do you notice? It's orange on the inside. And there are so many seeds. What else do you see? It is orange on the inside.
Can we put our hands?
You can put your hands in it. You think there's 1,000 seeds? We're gonna have to count them. We're gonna have to count them. Was it? Do you smell it? What's that kind of smell?
Yucky.
You think it smells yucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of smells like a yucky squash. How does it feel?
I got a seed. It feels cold.
You did. It feels cold.
I got this much seed. And I got this much seed. Wet.
It feels wet. I heard Eliana say wet. It feels wet.
Okay. So let's hear in the chat, what did you notice about ways children observed? What were they observing and how were they observing?
They were doing a lot of hands-on. Yeah.
Yep. So all of those observations we saw were with real tangible objects, right? And that allowed them to observe with all of their senses, right? They could touch it with their hands. They could notice texture. They could smell it. They could hear it. So using physical, real materials is really important to support children to observe and investigate. And I'm just perusing through the chat. Hands-on, couldn't wait to talk about it, right? So even those hands-on opportunities not just help children observe, but also give them a motivation and a real reason to communicate with each other and talk about it. And that's supporting a lot of language development. Really into the cameras, yeah. So not only did we see children observing physical materials, but we also saw some of them even using tools, right? So tools are a way we can extend our senses, we can extend our abilities to observe. We saw measuring, right? So extending our ability to perceive and be accurate about how long or big something is. We saw tools like the digital microscopes to be able to enhance our sense of sight, to be able to look more closely at something. So we can also use tools to support children's observations. Documentation. All right, let's shift over to really focus on educators. I see some of those educator supports already in the chat too, but what did you notice about educators that supported children to observe and to investigate? Open-ended questions. Yeah, educators asking those open-ended questions. So it doesn't just allow children to respond with a yes or no or coming back with a rote single word answer. Instead, these are open questions that allow children to expand their vocabulary and also to come to the experience with their own intention, with what's interesting to them. So what do you notice, right? Exploring with them. In our breakout room, we had some conversation about educators experiencing and feeling joy in their professional learning and how we can help educators bring that joy into their classrooms. And I think here we saw a lot of that exploration alongside children, sharing in the excitement, sharing in the joy, sharing in this curiosity of a concept or phenomena that we're able to look at or see or touch or smell, and how exciting that can be. Prompting questions, descriptive language. Yeah, so this video showed children across ages, starting with our infants and toddlers and moving up into TK. And we saw language really growing across that time frame, but educators really doing a great job of providing language for children to help build that vocabulary. And what's awesome about using, back to this idea of real physical materials, is that children are able to pair any new language used with what they're actually experiencing. So it really resonates and they're able to retain that meaning and use it in authentic ways. Facilitating open-ended questions, documentation, vocabulary, present and intentional. Yes, absolutely. Modeling wonder, right? Building on what children are already noticing. Yeah, so being responsive to children, paying attention to what they're noticing, what they're interested in, and building from there. Awesome. Oh my goodness, there's so much in the chat. Where can we find this video? Okay, so the video is part of a suite of resources, which I will show you all, that is within a slide deck that you can choose to use in different ways. This is one of the resources and one of the ways that you can support educators to enhance their understanding of ways that children observe and investigate, and, like our conversation, ways educators can support them to do so. So let me jump back to my slides and we'll take a look at some additional materials that we have. Not gonna work. Okay. All right. So we have this video that we all use to reflect on and surface some ways that children observe, investigate, ways adults support them to do so. Also within this suite is a developmental progression of inquiry skills. Today, we're focusing on observing and investigating. And you'll notice that within this, is it going to animate for me? Here we go. We can see ways that infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and children in elementary grades develop or engage in the process of observing, right? And how this might grow and change over time. So this is one of the materials that we provide within that suite that you might use in different ways with educators. Also in our breakout room, we did have some conversation about connecting these really engaging hands-on experiences with our foundations and standards so that teachers really feel that they are having fun and experiencing joy, but there's also intention behind it. So connecting back to our foundations and standards is important for educators. And we can also really think deeply about, well, what do we know about ways children develop these skills? What's appropriate for my different ages? And then how can I best support them in that process? So this document is one that's included in that suite of resources. We also have a document that is about supporting ways educators can support children to observe and investigate, and I'll show you where to find that also. A lot of you talked about or mentioned this in the chat, right? So providing those direct and meaningful experiences, offering purposeful materials, facilitating observation and investigation. So using those open-ended questions, engaging alongside children, and also providing children with opportunities to revisit experiences and to reflect on it. We do a lot of reflecting in our professional learning. We did some reflection here in our community of practice today. We can also encourage children to reflect, to think back about what they did and how they learned and what might they take away from that. So this handout provides some of those strategies for educators. A lot of it, again, was surfaced when we talked about the video, but it's nice sometimes to have it in a handout for educators too. So which brings me to the temporary website. Temporary website is just a home for materials that are in development still, but we wanted to make them accessible to you all. So if you choose to use them in a professional learning, you can. A colleague is going to drop this link in the chat for you, or you can use the QR code. So here you will find the observation and investigation suite of resources. This includes slides, some of which I shared with you today. This includes a facilitator guide that includes talking points and some discussion ideas, ways you might structure your engagement experiences. We have different teaching practices, so this developmental progressions of inquiry skills that I showed you all on the slide, and also the document of supporting children to observe and investigate. And then here are the videos. So this observing across ages we watch together, and then there's extended iterations of those clips, infants exploring balls, observing and investigating goop. We have another video that wasn't in that montage, bouncing balls and observing pumpkins inside and out. So there's different ages that you might choose to focus on. Use all of them, use some of them. So if you click this link, this is the document that I shared on the slide. And again, outlining some ways educators can support children to observe and investigate. In the slide deck is also ideas on ways you might engage educators with this handout. That's putting a star next to something they already do, putting a question mark next to something they're curious about, or circling a strategy they might want to try next. So there's some ways to engage educators in a handout to make it really meaningful and stick. Okay, moving on. I have very little time today. We also have on our CPE Count, Play, Explore for Early Education, the primary website. We have some new materials that were added, addition and subtraction suite, STEAM identity and belonging, and facilitating STEAM professional learning are newly available. So you can find those there. And then coming soon, we'll have a suite on measurement and building a culture of inquiry. And I believe that wraps it for this. If there's any questions or any comments. Thank you, Sophie, for adding those links. And yeah, we encourage you all to explore the materials. We try to create these so that they're very, very easy to use, but we do encourage you to make adjustments to really suit the needs of your teachers and your goals. So hope you all enjoy, and thanks for the time today.
Thanks, Lexi. Thank you so much for sharing those. Please check out the links in the chat as well for the incredible, wonderful resources. We're going to take a break for the next 10 minutes or so. So please enjoy about 10 minutes of break time, and we'll see you back at 10:45. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a great break. We're going to continue with our COP today by moving into a time for implementation sharing. We're excited to hear how things have been going in your own context with your communities. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that now. In our implementation sharing, there are a few things that we're focusing on today in this COP. We're looking at some highlights from professional learning and coaching sessions, how things have been going, what in your work and what you've been up to, and how participants, engagement and responses from participants have been going across your educator cohorts. In addition, any insights from family and community engagement, really thinking about kind of how that's folding into our work as well. And I've asked 3 agencies to share with us today. So just a real big word of thanks to all 3 of these for the preparation and thinking about that. We'll hear from North Bay Children's Center. Then we'll hear from CPEN Region 8 with Megan Gratona. Thanks, Megan. And then finally, we'll hear from Shasta County Office of Education. So I'm going to turn the floor over to North Bay Children's Center.
Paul, am I able to share my screen?
Absolutely. You should be able to go ahead and share any visuals you'd like to at this point.
Okay. Right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jill St. Peter. I'm from North Bay Children's Center. We are an agency in Marin and Sonoma counties. We have 14 sites across Marin and Sonoma. We have infants through school age programs. There are 4 facilitators in our group, but I'm going to be doing the talking today. It's wonderful to see everyone again. We chose to kind of highlight being part of the Math Impact Study. I don't know how many other agencies had the honor to do this, but we are so glad we are participating. Teresa Foglini and I are leading this, while Danya and Ladis are leading our STEAM cohort. So we have 2 things going on at once, which has kept us very busy. This Math Impact Study really began as, let's participate in everything. And for Teresa and I, and for our educators, it's really become one of the most meaningful learning journeys that we've had. And it's really rooted in mindset change, safety, identity, and joyful math. And it kind of fits in perfectly with what we've been talking about today. We had a really emotional start to this. We weren't expecting it. We asked our educators their first thought when they learned they were selected to be part of this study, and we didn't expect 6 of them to use the word dread. They were dreading being part of this. One educator reported that she was panicking. She was physically sick, thinking about having to come to a training about math. They felt scared. 2 of our educators were excited, so we had that. And we asked our control group, which is 9 others, and they said they were very relieved that they didn't have to be part of this. So that kind of took Teresa and I back a step on how we were going to approach this with this group. Our first session was about Mindsets Matter, and we did the Dear Math activity. I don't know how many people did this at the Institute, but it really showed us what we were up against. Our participants recalled feelings of shame and anxiety, being rushed, humiliation, and even physical abuse as children around math. And we realized that we needed to approach this work with emotional safety first. And that mindset is not just an attitude, and it is a true story that people believe about themselves. And we started building upon their self-efficacy that I can learn this. And that was the foundation for our engagement with them. So we slowed way down and we listened, and we reassured our educators that this was a space where their mistakes were welcomed, their vulnerability was optional, and no one was going to be judged. And we took a trauma responsive approach, and it was essential because without that safety, we knew there could be no learning with this group. So here we are with patterns. We've been talking about that a lot today. And within the Mindsets Matter, there's a little portion about patterns, and we chose to really focus on that. We intentionally picked patterns because they're familiar, they're predictable, they're low pressure. We use them every day. For educators who experience math or harm around math, patterns offered early success and a gentle way to really rebuild that curiosity and confidence. We discussed how patterns are the foundation for algebraic thinking. They support prediction and reasoning and organization and memory, and it really opened up their thinking about patterns. And we took a deep dive into daily patterns and routines and that structure and how that creates safety in their classroom for their children. And because patterns were everywhere, they really experienced this immediate success, which helped them build that motivation to continue. So we introduced patterns using Beep Beep Vroom Vroom, which has become one of our favorite books. We used the CPE book guide with our educators, and they explored noticing and observing and sequencing and predicting and open-ended questions to ask. And it allowed them to reconnect with math in a way that was really approachable and joyful and something that they could immediately take back to their classroom. North Bay Children's Center, we have a Garden of Eden, and our philosophy is based around health and nutrition. So we made fruit kebab patterns with our educators because we knew that they could bring that back to their classroom. And they examined the fruit closely using magnifying glasses, noticing similarities and differences. We talked about a Venn diagram, brought that back. That was a little scary for them, but we got through it. We measured kebab sticks, and then we had them plan their pattern on an index card and then create it. Most of them overplanned. Their fruit did not fit on their stick, which is kind of what we hoped for. We asked, what happened when your plan didn't work? What did you change? What did you learn? So that was a really fun and yummy. We figure when we feed them, they're happier. That was our first session. And the second one, we had this slide up, and this was very terrifying. We had to turn the M to the fifth. We had to call out that the M to the fifth was not scary and what that meant. They saw a lot of words that maybe they weren't familiar with. One of them said, "Oh, here we go. Here's the hard math." So we took caution, and it really reflected on their anxiety that they still had. So again, we shifted. So rather than standing in front of them delivering the PowerPoint, we kind of turned it off for a minute. I had the definitions of this already printed out. We sat down together. We briefly talked about them, and then they were assigned, each one of our participants was assigned one of the M's. And then I invited them to explore 9 of the different pattern stations that I had set up around the environment. And we played. We played for a really long time at these stations. And when we came back together, they shared what they learned about their M. And so at the center of everything was that mutual learning, and really experiencing it and then coming back to it really opened up their minds and made it easy for them. Here we are building confidence. This was one of our favorite activities at the Institute that we got to do together. So we started with this, building together and working together. And here they are around the different pattern stations we had. And one of the most powerful parts of this study has been our parallel process. So we intentionally are coaching and using our sessions with educators the same way we want them to teach the children, through that emotional safety, the curiosity, the play, experimentation, and reflection. And when our educators experience that, they bring it and they offer that to the children. When we welcomed mistakes as learning, they begin doing the same in their classrooms. When we modeled open-ended questions, they're naturally using those questions with the children. And because the educators felt joy around their math learning, they could authentically recreate that with the children. So the learning has traveled from us to them and them to the children in their classroom. And that ripple effect is really, for us, that true power of this study. And these are just them bringing back what they've learned, creating patterns in their classroom. We took a deep dive, and this is going to be a common thread for the whole math study for us. We're bringing families into it. We've given them documentation boards that they'll later bring to a large staff development day to show off what they've learned. And again, just more patterns. They brought the fruit kebabs to the classroom. On the left is a little boy who was having some struggles, and eventually the perseverance, he got it. And here they brought the beep, beep, broom, broom and little cars into their classroom and made patterns with them. So we see this learning has come alive with them. And just a little quote if you want to read it, how they're bringing math into their classroom. We have the head teachers, and then they are to bring it back to their teachers. So we're seeing this trickle down to the teachers, and they're getting excited about patterns in their classroom. And it's just something that is so easy to bring in. And I love that we're going to incorporate sound now. I hadn't thought of that with them. And then for us, kind of creating our own M to the fifth, which is the mindset, the motivation, the mentoring, the mending, and the mutual learning. So that is what North Bay Children's Center has been up to.
Thank you, Jill. It was wonderful to see the ways that you not only adapted work, but also were sensitive to the educators and the children that you work with in your community. Thank you for sharing. Next up, we'll hear from CPIN Region 8 and Megan.
Thank you, Paul. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Can you see my screen? Great. So our team, and can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So our team in Region 8 is myself, Susan Walsh, Tony Isaacs, and Maria Whitfield. And so we're implementing CPE in many different ways. And so get to the next slide. One of our ways is we're doing a lot of professional learning sessions already. We've had about 4 sessions, and we have more planned for the spring. But one of the ways I was highlighting, we have to offer the preschool transitional kindergarten learning foundations, math and science, as a base before we offer some of the Count, Play, Explore. That's some of our requirements for CPIN. So I've started incorporating doing those foundational trainings and then adding an extra hour with the Count, Play, Explore activities. So they just come to one session, they get all of it. People are really excited about these Count, Play, Explore activities. We get so many people just loving all the things, and the website. We share the website and the resources, the videos. We typically show 1 or 2 videos that highlight some of the activities we're doing. I've purchased books with the funding to give everybody a book when they leave, and then we highlight those book guides that go along with those. We've collaborated with our Central Math Council several times. So one time here in Kern County, and then in San Luis Obispo, where John Dweck was the keynote, and then myself and another member of our math team at our county office, we did many Count, Play, Explore sessions. So all those were successful. And then I've done this A in STEAM session where I really loved that when we came to the Institute. It was so much fun where we watched The Lion King and then we recreated some of those animal costumes. And then this group, as you see in these pictures, I had to stop them and say, your time's up. Add hot glue your last thing on there. We've got to act out our story now. So then they acted out a Rumble in the Jungle. They had so much fun. I couldn't upload the video because it said the file's too large, but there was so much laughter and joy. And so what we're trying to highlight in our region is like we're making STEAM fun. We want to highlight accessible materials. I heard a lot of that today, using everyday materials. Everybody has parents, right? They don't have to buy anything. And focus on that family engagement piece. So we're doing a lot of trainings for educators, but we're trying to say we're building your capacity because we want you to push this forward to your families that you serve. And we want you to make this exciting. We want you to kind of help them change their math mindset and see math and science and STEAM everywhere. and make this exciting again for the adults and the children, because children already love doing these things. And these are some quotes from some of our participants. They're going to provide more of these Count, Play, Explore activities to support the children they work with. And they love the hands-on nature, and the fun is in there. So I couldn't upload all the photos. I have so many photos I would love to share, but Paul told me I had 5 minutes. So I was like, oh no, I'm missing one. There it is. So this was a session for Maria is one of our instructors, and she's bilingual. And at our Bridges conference that we just had in Kern County, she provided a Count, Play, Explore session in Spanish, and it was standing room only. We had to turn people away because it was full. And as you can see, we incorporated the M5 approach, but we used the paper structure building kind of as an icebreaker. They had so much fun. And then we explored the sock sort that goes with a pair of socks book. And so everyone got a pair of socks book. They had fun sorting real socks and making patterns and exploring all that through that M5 approach. And then I had a table in the vendor hallway where I had, you can see that bottom right corner, Count, Play, Explore table. So I just had activities out, and I had a QR code and I had my computer up so we could explore the Count, Play, Explore website, show them videos, show them all the free resources that were available to them. And this conference was open to families. We only had a few show up, so I wasn't sure how much we were going to get traffic from families. But we do have plans to do more family engagement events. So we're in process of planning those right now. They take a bit of planning. And then our focus is we're still developing plans within each county to really work with our regional partners and tap into existing community events, like tap into our resource and referrals and our quality counts coaches and our teams, libraries, children's museums, family resource centers, resource fairs, things of that nature. And then think of potential partners that we could collaborate with, like maybe early childhood college, the ECE departments, or other community partners. So one of the things that happened that we tapped into, our county office, Kern County Superintendent of Schools, offered the STEAM on the Streets event. That is the second annual. So we asked if we could do some Count, Play, Explore activities. So we partnered with the county office Count, Play, Explore team. And so they're here today. Hi, my friends. And there was over 150 families that attended the Saturday event, and there was multiple tables featuring Count, Play, Explore activities, like unstable table, making musical instruments, light and shadow. I'm probably forgetting some. Mary Lou probably could type it in the chat. And of course, I explained about the Bridges Language and Literacy Conference. I saw that as an opportunity to bridge that literacy piece and show, like, hey, we can do math and literacy. And then in Ventura, our Ventura partners, Tony worked with librarians to introduce these Count, Play, Explore, and they had a blast exploring geometry concepts. And then we're in process of collaborating with several preschools programs to plan some family engagement events. And in our other counties, tap into those community events. So we're planning lots of things for the spring and the coming fall. So if I forgot anything, please jump in, add it to the chat.
Thank you so much, Megan. Wonderful to hear about the work and also just sort of the many connections that you're making with this work, contextualizing it in some of the broader initiatives and the work that you and the region are doing. So great to hear that. And sounds like you had a wonderful team support, many connections there. Okay, so our final group will be our Shasta County Office of Education. I'm going to get their slides queued up here. And Ada, will you be sharing?
Did you have your slides? I'm going to share, but we're all taking a little piece of it. Our team is.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Okay, and so you can start with the next slide. So hello, everybody. I work with a great team, and my name is Ada Rappaport, and I work with 4 other people on our team, and 2 of them are going to share today as well, Jula and and Nicole. And one of the things that we wanted to do when we applied for this grant is really cover a large portion of our North State area in California, and we have lots of rural areas. So we are reaching out between Nicole, Leslie, Joel, and myself throughout Shasta County, Modoc, Lassen, and Plumas. So it's a large territory. Go ahead, next slide. And the way we've structured our group is that we are embedding our STEAM training. We've been having for the last few years our monthly early educator professional learning communities, and we usually have an attendance between 55 to 65 early educators. So we really wanted to focus this year on STEAM and integration, and we decided to embed it into our monthly trainings. So they are quite large, but they're so much fun. And we're really braiding our funding with UPK and QCC funds as well. One of the things that was really important, I know a couple of other people mentioned that as well, is that we're providing materials and books for each person, or each educator to take back with them to the classroom for immediate implementation. And we have used like the pair of socks, and we've used the Vroom Vroom books too. Those are great. And we're also providing stipends for attendance incentives as well for this early educator community. One of the other things that we do in Shasta County, and Nicole will talk about her area, is that we also have lots of community partners. So we're embedding CPE content. So we had a Champions for Children event in September, which was a meeting at one of our Turtle Bay Exploration Park, a science museum. Then we have like Week of the Young Child that will be coming up. We've also been forming STEAM partnerships with our Shasta Public Library. We have a family engagement event with them where we'll also provide books to families at that time. And we're going to do like a STEAM expo for that day with those interactive exhibits. And then we're also partnering in the spring with our tribal community to do a presentation there. And of course, with our regional CPIN, Lisa, who's on here as well. And one other thing that we really wanted to do is to have our actual cohort of educators do family events at their site. So we're providing a material stipend for them to host a STEAM family engagement event at their site. And we have our first one coming up with one of the educators at the end of January. So we're excited to support them on their site at their family events. So those are a few highlights. And as you'll see in the picture here, we did a couple of sessions, family engagement sessions in the fall with our wind tube. And one of the things that other people notice as well is it's accessible for all ages. We had little tiny, toddlers all the way up to, parents and teenagers and everything engaging at these events. So if you go ahead and click one more time, you'll see another picture pop up. Hopefully. Yep. So here's a family trying to build like a parachute in the wind tube. So, okay. And I think the next slide, I'm going to turn it over to my teammate, Jula.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jula Herzog. I'm a quality accounts mentor coach, and I'm also working as a coach for the CPE. My CPE cohort. These photos shows the implementation of the materials that we provided at one of our trainings in an actual classroom. This is a rural preschool classroom in Round Mountain. It's called Little Hill. They have 6 students at the moment, but this was the next day after our training, and the teacher right away implemented the materials that she got at our inquiry training. We are providing not only materials, but also supporting how to present the materials. And you'll see some of the pictures that Ada will show in our slide deck how we are encouraging and we are supporting the teachers in the presentation of the materials and the activities, and encouraging and supporting the development of the environment as a third teacher. Our presentations also include information of how to engage the families and how to share the information that we share with the teachers to pass it along with the families, and they know that there is STEAM everywhere, in not only in the classroom but also at home and in the community. And we also incorporate a way to serve all children, meaning children with disabilities and with all abilities in this case. That's it. That's all I have. Next slide. Ada, is this me or you?
That's you.
Okay, so this is some of the examples that I was talking about, that it's very important for us to present how the environment is a third teacher. We are using natural materials for the presentation and engaging the teachers. We tell them that if you make it pretty, they will come. And then we open it up for the teachers to play with the materials and experiment and experience. We have some support of other professionals in our office that are actively involved with the materials in the activities to support the teachers in the experience, and also answering questions of how they will be implemented in the classroom with the children. All of these examples, these photos are coming from our latest training that was last month, and it was all about partnering and movement. And it was exciting to see how today we were experimenting and experiencing making patterns with music. As you can see in one of the top photos, that's exactly what we did. We provided musical materials, musical instruments, and encouraged the teachers to make patterns with, we also created some pattern cards for the teachers to make patterns. We offer some crayons and different natural materials for the teachers to make their own patterns. And there was another activity of noticing patterns in nature. Next slide. Thank you. Yes, so we are super proud about this one because we came up with these, if you see these white frames, they are made of PVC, and it is our own creation for teachers to make patterns using marking tape, that it's only $1. So this is a PVC lumen frame that I found online, and I put my husband to work. And then we got some 1-inch fencing that we place it around it, and then we just have them go at it with weaving. And then we also have them make patterns with beads. And they had so much fun. It was just incredible, super fun. They spent a long time making patterns with the looms, with the beads, with art, and also experiencing movement. And then I think I'll have our next slide.
I'm just gonna, before Heather.
Nicole, yes.
Nicole, I was just going to add too, one of the interesting things is we talked also about Braille. We had Braille books. We were able to borrow Braille books and look at the pattern there. And there was a lot of fascination with the idea of Braille as a pattern, people, with outside use. So that was very engaging as well. Okay, go ahead, Nicole. Sorry.
Oh no, no worries. Thank you guys. So my name is Nicole Hinton. I am the executive director of First Five Modoc, and I have the wonderful pleasure of being the QCC lead for Modoc County as well as a coach for Modoc County. And for our portion, we have been able to service Modoc, Lassen, and Plumas County, and that has a strategical focus through our partnership with Sierra Cascade Family Opportunities. They are considered the local Head Start and CSPP contractor for Lassen County, and then they have sites in Plumas and Modoc. And so, of course, that spans a really huge gap. If you have ever been up to the North State, you know we're very remote. And this, includes five primary participants. So they have five primary coaches that are getting the training, but we are also training 50 additional people across 13 classrooms that serve infants, toddlers, preschool ages, and of course their families. So we started our sessions in November. They are hybrid. I'll be going and seeing them tomorrow. I'm really excited with some of these resources shared today. But the photos you'll see here are from our fair here in Modoc. It's called the Modoc District Fair. It gets about 5,000 people that come from Nevada, Oregon, and California from all over the state. And we host a kids zone. And in our kids zone, we focused on STEAM concepts that were super easy for families to put, in their homes or use things. So you'll notice the basic sink and float, simple basic information. We have handouts for that. We had a whole bubble station, but I had tech issues and couldn't get it to upload. But families were given materials and instructions, and we had staff modeling, how to make different shapes, what happens when you put it into the bubble solution. It was just an absolute wonderful time. Over the span of 4 days, we had over 150 families engage in these activities, ask questions. So it was just absolutely wonderful. And then in the spring, we look forward to hosting a exhibit during the Family Connections Conference that SCFO has there in Susanville at their fairgrounds, and that typically brings a few hundred people. So excited about that. And then, of course, just for local context, we do have like a family resource out of our first five. And so our staff go to the libraries with fun science experiments. They have playgroup here. So just always really that wonder and inquiry and just really getting people to think about STEAM. So thank you, and I'll give it back to Miss Ada.
Oh, and I think, thank you for all for listening and sharing, and I'll turn it over back to Paul.
Thank you, Shasta County. And thank you for all of the groups for sharing today. It's just really wonderful to hear about the many ways that you are implementing and seeing such incredible engagement from your educators, your families, your community. I think what we'd like to do now is just take a brief moment to allow everyone an opportunity for some reflection. And so we'll take just a few minutes in some breakout groups. I'm going to ask that if everybody would prepare an implementation highlight professional from something that your organization has done, if you could try to keep it to 1 to 2 minutes. So this would be just like a highlight across your work so far. We do have 3 to 4 groups in each of the breakout rooms. And so if you could try to keep it to that 1 to 2 minute, a highlight, a key insight, something that you're really excited about, or some opportunity to reflect on what you've heard today. We'll move into those breakout groups now, and then we'll come back with just a final word or two before we close up. So we'll move into those breakout groups now. You'll see them open up. Oh, actually, no. I have a slide here. Hold on. Let's see. Just so that you know where you're headed. Okay, we will have 10 rooms open, and we have agencies listed here. So once those breakout rooms are opened up, if you could head to that room, and we'll take about 10 minutes, eight minutes or so to have some quick conversation, reflection. Welcome back, everyone. I know that was a brief breakout, and there's probably a lot more to share about. And so I hope that you've been able to have at least a bit of time to reflect and think, and perhaps even some more follow-up time with your team as you continue to think about the many ways that we're all implementing this work together. I do have a link in the chat for today that if you would please complete our form, COP survey form. We have the same questions as last time. I think if we could just have everyone hang on for just a minute, I do want to turn it over to Melina with West Ed for a quick eval announcement. So Melina, if you hear, you want to give that announcement?
Yes, and I will share my screen. Can everyone see this? All
Yes.
right. Well, I just have a few updates specifically for the PLC cohort. First, I want to thank you all for your efforts with the educator survey and recruiting your educators to complete that survey. We're excited to share that we've reached over a 75% response rate across nearly all of the agencies who have completed at least their initial PLs. We appreciate all of you for helping make this response rate possible. And for those who maybe haven't had their first PL session, be on the lookout for more information on how you can support getting your educators to fill out that first survey. Also, thank you to everyone who has already submitted or started submitting your implementation logs for the professional learning and coaching sessions that you have facilitated. Just a quick note that the deadline to submit your logs for any fall sessions that you've completed so far will be Friday, December 19th. And along with your PL sessions, please also make sure to update any coaching sessions or the coaching log with any coaching sessions that you've completed so far. And if the time or the deadline is of any concern to you, of course, please feel free to reach out, and we are more than willing to work with you all. And also, we've also added new tabs in the log to capture your family and community engagement events. So please take a moment to enter those activities as well. Even if you haven't had any events yet, it'll be helpful for us to know of any upcoming events that you are planning if you haven't already communicated that already with a WestEd team member. And so on that note, each agency does have a dedicated WestEd team member who will be reaching out if they haven't already to support you in completing your logs. So please feel free to contact them directly if you have any questions or run into any issues. And if it's helpful, we're more than happy to hop on a quick Zoom call to walk through any part of the log with you and support you as you're filling it out. And just to note that the information that we're gathering from your logs will help us understand the full range of professional learning, coaching, and family and community engagement events that are happening across CPE. So it will allow us to highlight all the amazing work that you're doing in your local communities. So thank you for your time, your effort, and your commitment to documenting that work. Also, a quick heads up that the math impact study will continue into next year. So as you start planning ahead, just keep this in mind and consider participating. So stay tuned for more information on that. And lastly, if you have any questions at all about the CPE evaluation, please feel free to email countplayexplore@wested.org and someone from our team will get back to you. But those are all my announcements. So thank you all for your time and attention.
Thanks, Melina. And again, thank you all so much. If you would please, before wrapping up, if you would complete our COP survey. I have a link in the chat as well as a QR code here to just reflect a bit more on the session and help us to plan for future sessions together. We'll see you again in March. Next week, you'll all receive an email from us with a link to the resources shared today, to the session on sound and some of the additional resources. We'll also send out a link to that Padlet that will be a way for us to keep in touch between COPs. And that's a place for you to post questions and ideas, comments, resources that you're using, a way for us to interact between sessions. So with that, I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of the year, a very warm and safe holiday season, and we'll see you all again in March. Bye, everybody.